wish you'd understand. I just wish that God had a better plan. I'm so confused. I need a redo. Inside of me that's begging and begging and pleading. I just wanna feel free. I just wanna feel lovely. I'm surrounded by love that's in pain. Can I wipe your tears away? Please don't hurt for me. I hate that it's for me. It's for me.
Hi, welcome back to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast, being led in by the beautiful Amber K with I Hate That It's For Me. I love that song. Today's a different episode. I'm pausing because I'm trying to think how to word this. I'm not sitting down with the traditional person, talking to them on the phone, over the internet, or however I do my interviews. I'm talking to this person through a voice app. About 2 years ago, I met a guy from over in the UK by the name of Swab. He goes by the name Swab. And I was just blown away by this guy. He used music to communicate. And I found out later on that the reason he does that is because he does not have a voice because of multiple sclerosis. I know that multiple sclerosis affects the vocal cords. I didn't realize that it actually completely took vocal cords away from people. And it really made me think, and I just developed a friendship with this guy, and we messaged back and forth, and I asked him a lot of questions. He told me a lot of the crazy truths to his journey. And when I started doing this podcast, I kept on telling the Swab, I got to figure out a way to get your story heard because your story is so important. People don't understand what this disease does. They understand that it affects your mobility issues and all that, but I mean, it can affect your hearing, it can affect your sight, and it can affect your voice. Can you kind of take us through your journey in 2009 when you were told that you had multiple sclerosis, my friend?
I woke up in the morning with my left hand side completely numb from the top of my face to the toes on my feet. I called for an ambulance as I thought I'd had a stroke. The ambulance service also thought I'd had a stroke. The doctors in the emergency department sent me straight for an MRI scan. A few hours later, a neurologist arrived at my bed to inform me that I had multiple sclerosis. He told me by the look of my scans that I had actually had multiple sclerosis for many years prior to this event. He asked me why I hadn't been to the doctors beforehand. I explained to him that I was a hard heroin addict amongst other drugs, and I put all my symptoms down coming off of heroin, the symptoms I had been experiencing, and at the same time trying to ignore brain fog, drop foot and numbness in my face and hands. On a little side note, no one knows my age, ha ha ha.
And that's just like you, Swab, telling jokes, just trying to make light of bad situations. I just can't imagine the mental health grind that you're sitting there going through. 2009, you're a heroin addict, and you think that that's the reason for why you're feeling like you're feeling, and you're getting told, no, you have a chronic disease, multiple sclerosis. I just can't imagine what you're going through mentally with that, Swab.
Diagnosis really affected my mental health. As many people know, I haven't had what could be called a normal childhood or adolescence. I have always been open about the abuse, both sexual and physical. I have suffered from the age of 3 years old until I was 14 years old. So being told I had multiple sclerosis, and on the top of that having primary progressive multiple sclerosis, pushed me to the point of taking my own life. But unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, I'm still here battling my own mind and thoughts. Some days it can be extremely hard. I have now been diagnosed with CPTSD and borderline personality disorder. Happy days.
Wow, Swab. So how did you react to that? I mean, did you have any knowledge of what multiple sclerosis was when that doctor told you that that's what you had?
When the neurologist told me I had multiple sclerosis, I honestly didn't have a clue what he was talking about. Thankfully, he took the time to explain it all to me, including the fact that it's a chronic illness. My immediate reaction was, okay, so what's going to happen to me? His reply caught me off guard. He said it's hard to say what will happen because no two people with multiple sclerosis are the same. I was totally surprised that not everyone's journey with multiple sclerosis are not the same. After that, he handed me some leaflets and sent me on my way.
I'm glad your neuro at least took the time to sit you down and explain it, Swab. I just can't imagine how your head had to have been spinning with not really knowing what MS was. How did you actually gain knowledge and start learning about your new life that you were going to have to figure out how to manage and to live with?
It wasn't until my second visit to the neurologist 6 months after being told I had multiple sclerosis that I learned what type of multiple sclerosis I had. Already I had learned there are different types. I asked the neurologist, so which one do I have? I sat there thinking, oh my goodness, what happens if I have one of the primary ones? Then he started. His first words, I'm so sorry to tell you, my heart sank. I thought to myself, oh no, here we go, he continued. Unfortunately, you have primary progressive multiple sclerosis. It felt like my world had imploded. He kept talking, but I was lost in my thoughts. I didn't hear everything he was saying, but when I finally managed to focus again, he patiently explained it all to me. The journey home that day felt like an eternity.
Swab, my friend, I can't even imagine the hell that you are living through at that time in life. And, you're just starting to figure it out, and you're a recovering heroin addict, and you had that on your plate. And now on top of that, the chronic disease, and you're trying to get that all figured out. And I just can't imagine the mental health battle that is going on in your head. I know that I struggled a lot when I started losing my mobility, and I spiraled for a 2-year period, and I was thinking suicidal. I had suicidal thoughts, and it was just a tough part in my journey, brother.
I've always felt embarrassed about using mobility aids. When my right foot stopped working properly, my doctor suggested a cane. I fought against it at first, but after a few public falls I finally accepted one. Then a couple of years later, while climbing the stairs at home, my left leg suddenly began to fail. My MSer nurse came the next day and arranged an MRI scan. The scan showed more lesions, and that's when I became a crutch user, not one but 2 crutches. At first, going out felt so humiliating. It was as if the whole world was watching me, but over time, I adjusted and tried to live as normally as possible. Then 9 years ago on holiday in Turkey, everything changed. I was sitting by the warm pool and decided to lower myself into the water. Suddenly it felt electrified, and intense burning pain ran through both my legs and they wouldn't move. I panicked when I finally got out and tried to move. Nothing happened. Further MRI scans in Turkey revealed even more lesions, this time on my brain, neck, and spine. The neurologist told me I had become completely paralyzed. That news pushed me into very dark thoughts. My mental health was the worst it had ever been. I had suicidal thoughts, and over the years I have had a few failed attempts. It's been a terrifying, lonely experience. I thought nothing else could possibly go wrong now. But how wrong I was. For a few years my speech was slowly getting worse. It was hard to get words out and they became slurred. Then one day 5 years ago, boom, it went. My voice became no more.
Wow, Swab, I think that's the hardest part that people just don't understand is that this disease just takes and takes and takes, and you never know how it's going to take. I mean, you start out struggling just with mobility, and then you progress into having to use a cane, and you accept that. And then later on down the road, something else happens, and now you're permanently in a wheelchair. And that is just the mental part of this game that I don't think people understand. And the supports are so important. Our family, our friends, and sometimes we just don't get that support, brother. And that makes the journey even harder.
Unfortunately, the support I once had from friends slowly faded away as my walking got worse. And by the time I became a full-time wheelchair user, it had completely disappeared. All those promises of brotherhood for life turned out to be nothing more than empty words. It truly broke my heart. Let me give you an example. One day, some friends called and told me they were going to the beach. They said they had arranged transport so I could come along too. I was over the moon, excited and happy to finally be included. When the day came, I got myself ready and waited. But no one showed up. The silence was painful. What made it even worse was seeing, just a few days later, videos they posted on Facebook, all of them laughing and enjoying the beach together. I never received an explanation or even a simple apology. Sadly, the same lack of empathy extended to my family and even my ex-wife. The emotional support just wasn't there.
I know, Swab, that is one part of the journey that I don't think a lot of people understand is the support system. When I first started out with this, when I was 27 years old, I had a really wide range of friends just because of me playing football in college and what I did. And then once I got diagnosed, that circle shrunk more and more and more. And as my disability got worse, it shrunk even tighter. And it's with family, friends, and everything. And that's just a part that I don't think people really understand. I don't think they listen to us. I don't think they realize that sometimes the hurt that we get, just the mental hurt. And that's the part that I wish people understood a little bit better. Let me ask you this, Swab. You being over in the UK, how is your MS team over there, your neurology and your medical staff? Do they work with you, and are you happy with them?
My multiple sclerosis medical team has been a mixed experience. My neurologist, though, he's absolutely fantastic. He's been with me from day one and always explains things in plain language, not in complicated doctor talk, if that makes sense. What I appreciate most about him is his honesty and directness. He never sugarcoats anything. When I became paralyzed, he didn't try to soften the truth. He simply said, "I'm sorry, but you will never walk again." It was hard to hear, but I respected him for being upfront. As for the multiple sclerosis nurses, I gave up on them a long time ago. They never seemed to be able to do much for me, so instead of wasting their time and mine, I decided to part ways. Thankfully, I later found a medical center not far from home that supports people living with multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, and strokes. That's where I now go for all my physiotherapy, and it's made a real difference as far as trying to stop my legs from wasting away.
I get it, Swab. I think it is so important to have a neuro that you're comfortable with. It's unfortunate the rest of your team that you kind of had to scrap it, but I totally get it. And you took control of your team and you customized it. You got the ones that you're getting benefits out of, and the ones that you weren't getting benefits out of, you scrapped them and did it your way. And I love that about you, and that is part of the journey that we have to figure out, and sometimes in the beginning of it, we don't know, we just learn it as we went. And I know that you have learned so much on your journey. Talk to me a little bit about relationships, Swab. I know that you are married to a beautiful wife. She's very quiet. She's not in the TikTok community, but I know she has MS. And that your story, when you told me about it, how you guys found each other, it's just beautiful. And then we'll talk about the beautiful little child that you guys brought into this world and how you're raising them. But I just want to talk, I want you to tell your story on how you met your wife, Layla.
Met my wife, Layla, on Instagram, so you could say it all started as a kind of online dating experience. We were both following some of the same people who had MS, and we would occasionally like each other's posts, but we never actually spoke through messages. I used to post the same kinds of things I share on TikTok, funny, light-hearted stuff when I was in a good place, and darker, more emotional posts when I was feeling low or suicidal. One day, I was really struggling and posted something about the voices in my head, how they've been with me since I was 6 years old, how they drive me crazy, but also how I'd be lost without them. Layla sent me a message asking, "Since 6 years old?" I'm curious. That simple question opened the door to a deep, honest conversation. I told her everything, how I was left in a cardboard box as a baby, the sexual abuse I suffered in child services, and how the family who adopted me continued both the sexual and physical abuse until I finally ran away from home at 14. What completely blew me away was her response. She didn't say, "I feel so sorry for you." She didn't look at me with pity. She simply accepted it. I also told her about my CPTSD and borderline personality disorder, and again, no judgment, no sympathy, just quiet understanding. She took me as I am. From that day on, we talked every single day and night. Slowly, we fell in love. Having multiple sclerosis in common makes life together incredibly interesting and sometimes challenging, but it also brings us closer. We both understand what fatigue, brain fog, and emotional ups and downs feel like, and that shared understanding helps us stay strong and positive.
Swab, that is an absolute beautiful story on how you and Layla met. I wish that everybody in the world could understand that you found somebody that just listened to you and didn't judge you and didn't want to pity you and just wanted to accept you for who you were. And that is just an absolute beautiful story. And just the fact that you guys both have MS together and you're fighting this fight together, even though it's an individual fight, you guys both understand each other. And that is just an amazing part of your journey. And Layla sounds like an absolute beautiful lady that you fell in love with and you were lucky to find. And both of you guys were lucky to find each other. It's just a beautiful story, Swab. So let me ask you this, Swab. You found Layla, you found somebody to fall in love with. You guys are building a life together, and now you're not able to talk. Can you kind of take us through how your voice, you started struggling and it went from struggling to not even being able to talk, and how you have found this voice app to actually communicate now and how much it has helped you. And we'll talk a little bit about the TikTok community too, brother.
Losing my ability to talk has been the absolute worst part of my journey, even worse than losing my ability to walk. It's incredibly frustrating. Before I had this voice app and iPad, things were so much harder. I had to write everything down, which took forever and left me feeling isolated and exhausted. But thanks to the amazing multiple sclerosis community on TikTok, things changed. They came together to help me get an iPad, and Katie, from Katie Fibro Journey, found this app that I now use to speak with you. I honestly have so much love and gratitude for everyone in our community. They truly gave me back a voice. Losing my speech didn't happen overnight. It was slow at first, then suddenly it was gone. For about 2 years before it happened, my speech became sluggish, and finding the right words got harder and harder. It was so frustrating, and I was constantly stressed about it. Maybe that stress played a part in what happened next. As we all know, stress is our enemy, just like kryptonite is to Superman. I still remember the exact moment it happened. I was sitting in a coffee shop, ready to pay my bill, and when I went to speak, nothing came out. Not a single word. I was terrified. I went straight to the doctor, then had an urgent appointment with my neurologist and an MRI scan. The results came back showing more lesions. And just like that, my voice was gone.
Your story is just so amazing, Swab, on your journey and how you lost your voice. I can't even imagine just as rapid as it happened with you and how you deal with that on a daily basis. I mean, the mental part is the hardest part. I know we talk about it a lot when we're in lives. And you know, that's all you have. You just have your thoughts. And I can't imagine the struggles that you have. And people in that TikTok community, they are so important. I know you spoke about Katie and what she did for you and the app that she got. And I was around when that happened to you. And I was so happy to actually be able to hear you put your words out and listen to you, because that's what we want. We want to be heard and we want to be listened to. And, you know, that community with Randy and Katie and everybody that we have met and that is so supportive. I know we're friends with a lot of the same people, and that community is just so important to how we fight this disease. So let me ask you this, Swab, with how your MS has been progressing and you lose your ability to walk, you're in a wheelchair, and then you lose your voice. How are they treating you, like from a DMT standpoint? Are steroids helping you? Just kind of like take us through that part of your journey with your medications that they put you on.
My DMT journey has honestly been pretty awful. I've tried quite a few different medications over the years, but none of them have ever really worked for me. In the end, I decided, with my neurologist's full support, to stop them altogether. Even steroids don't seem to make a difference, so now I'm completely drug-free and just taking each day as it comes. I'm also not one of those people who follows a strict diet plan. I know some people swear by them, but honestly, life's too short. I couldn't survive without chocolate or peanut butter.
Wow, Swab, that is just amazing that you just took control of your journey like you did. I admire you for that, to make that decision to go off all your meds, off all your DMTs, and just take it day by day and live life like you want to live it, not like other people want you to live it, like the doctors want you to live it. I admire you for that, brother. I just think that's an awesome part of your journey. Now I want to get into the question of you being a MSer, Swab, and being the dad to a beautiful little 3-year-old that's never heard your voice. And can you just kind of take us through that part of your journey with you and Layla when she was pregnant and what was going through your head on how you were going to attack that part of your journey, being the dad of a little boy?
When I first found out we were having a baby, we were both incredibly excited and at the same time, completely terrified. For me, the biggest worry was being in a wheelchair. That thought stayed with me throughout the entire 9 months. How am I going to look after a little one when I can't walk? It wasn't until later in the pregnancy that I even began to think about not being able to talk. My mind was constantly racing with questions about the future, things like playing football together, putting him on my shoulders, or running around the park. When Zane was born, we had already made a few adjustments. His crib was set low enough so I could lift him in and out safely. Everything, the bottles, formula, and sterilizing equipment, was within easy reach. From day one, I've been a very hands-on dad. I've lost count of how many nappies I've changed. Over the past 3 years, I've been amazed by how naturally Zane accepts the things I can't do. It's not always easy for me, but he just takes it in his stride. One moment that really hit me hard was the day he came running over, placed a football at my feet, and said, "Daddy, kick the ball." I had to tell him, "Daddy can't kick the ball." Without missing a beat, he smiled and said, "Okay, Daddy, throw it instead." That night, I cried. As for not being able to speak to him, that's been a different kind of challenge. It can be incredibly frustrating when you're trying to tell a 3-year-old not to do something and all you can do is turn up the volume on your iPad because you can't shout. But somehow, we've built an understanding between us, something special that only we share. Zane is growing into such an amazing little boy. He's kind, helpful, and full of joy. He loves to play with my wheelchairs, his mum's rollator, and, of course, a walking stick makes the perfect sword. All we can hope for is that he continues to grow up surrounded by love and compassion.
Swab, with you and Layla bringing Zane up, there is no doubt in my mind that he is going to turn out to be an amazing young man. With you guys as his parents, you guys are warriors. You know how to survive. You're fighters. And it just, Zane is lucky to have you and Layla as his parents. And it's just going to be awesome being friends with you and watching him grow up and seeing all the awesome things that you're going to be doing with him. I love when you have him in your videos. It just makes me smile all the time. And I want you to use your new little app toy that you just recently got helped with the TikTok community. Talk about the TikTok community. And I'm just going to not even really say a whole lot about this next little segment. I'm just going to let you explain it all, brother. But I want you to talk about the TikTok community and what our MS Warrior friends do for each other, buddy.
As many of you in the multiple sclerosis community know, I didn't have the easiest start in life. First, I would like to introduce you to my new voice. This is a synthetic version of my real voice. I hope you like it. From a very young age, I suffered both sexual and physical abuse until I finally ran away at the age of 14. After that, I turned to alcohol and hard drugs, anything to try and drown out the pain of my past. But of course, it never really works. For years, I felt completely alone, always on the outside looking in. I spent so long searching for a family, a place where I could belong, where I could be myself, and where I could feel safe. That's when I stumbled across the multiple sclerosis community on TikTok. At first, I was just messing around, posting silly lip sync videos. Then one day, I came across a TikToker who changed my life. His name was Randy. He would go live often, chatting with friends about life and everything is related. At first, I just watched quietly from the background. Then I started joining the comments. I used to tell everyone that I couldn't come up on live because I couldn't talk, but they kept encouraging me. Eventually, I joined one, lived in a box, chatting through comments while everyone else spoke. Then, one day, the community realized I could talk, just not in the usual way. I could talk using an app. Within a few weeks, something incredible happened. I was gifted an iPad, and Katie reached out to a company that creates speech apps, and they gifted me one. That's when my life completely changed. I will always be deeply grateful to every single person in our community. When I say I love you, I truly mean it. You are my family, the family I've searched for my entire life. Now, my final message to you all. Multiple sclerosis really does suck. There's no denying that. But there's nothing we can do to change it. What we can do is keep living our best lives and stay as positive as possible. I'm not saying it's easy. I've lost the use of my legs, my voice, and now my bladder. My left hand and arm are fading away. But hey, life is still there to be lived, if you dare. And remember, Swab always says, boom.
I love it, Swab. The Swab says boom. Absolutely, man. That is your tagline. And I love hearing your voice, man. That is just such an awesome app that Randy and the TikTok community helped you out with. Just to hear what your voice actually was, and they did this through AI, is my understanding. It's just, the community is awesome. I got to meet you. And I told you before, on my bucket list is my goal in life is to meet everybody that I record with, and you're on that list. I want to meet you, brother. I love you to death. Your story is an inspiration to never stop and keep on fighting with this disease, no matter what it throws at you. You know, if it takes away your ability to walk, you got to still put a smile on your face like you do. And if it takes away your ability to talk, you can still figure shit out, and you can still express how you want to explain your story. And I'm just glad that we finally figured out a way to get your story heard. And I'm privileged to be the one that did it with you. And I love everything that you're about, Swab. And I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your journey with me, brother.
Brian, you are an amazing person. Without you, so many of us would not have a way of getting our stories told. I have and will always have the utmost love and respect for you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend. I have the utmost love and respect for you as well, just as I do for all the chronic disease warriors, because we're all fighters, buddy, and we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what country we're from or what race we are. We're just trying to help people understand it. And if I can be that person that helps people have that platform to talk about their journey, then I am all for it, because I want people to understand what it's like living with this disease and what it can do to you. And I just appreciate you, and thank you, buddy, for joining me today. All right, if you want to follow me on TikTok, you can find me at MSMichiganMan64. You can also find me on Instagram, MSMichiganMan64, and I'm on Facebook, Brian Wallace out of Brunswick, Ohio. Please share it out. We want to be understood. The best way to be understood is to listen to us talk. Until the next episode, this is the MS Michigan Man 64. I am out.